What's up guys, DukeSloth here, and today we're taking a look at the patch notes for patch 5.13, the mid-season patch, for the second time. The first one was the live viewing, now the review. This is going to be very long, so I'm going to try and cut this as short as possible and go through a lot of things very quickly. Two things that I briefly want to mention before we start. Apparently, according to Hi-Risk, you will get gems for playing PTS for this patch. So if you check out things, you'll actually get rewarded on the live client. You get the gems on the live client. Important part, not just on the PTS. So go and check that out. And also, I think this is the best patch that Smite has had in a very long time, if not ever. So we've got something to look forward to. This is great, and you should not miss out on this, and this may even get a lot of people back into the game. So we have a lot of skins, as usual. What we can unfortunately not do here is look at all of them in bigger pictures, because some of them are just glitched. So Plushie Ganesh, we'll have to suffice here in this form. He's really cool, as in he's got cool like emotes where abilities where he throws out a like ball of wool and he can roll up himself and bounce around, which is super funny. Really cool skin. Half-Life Somebody, more of a modern Somebody. We have a bigger picture of him here as well. Then we have Nightbane Jing Wei, which is kind of this hunter, demon hunter style, maybe I would say. And then we have Hellscape Kanonos, which we can actually see in bigger as well. The next god, however, we cannot see in bigger. That is Geek Beak Thoth. And then we have Pup Patrol Cerberus, best skin, goodest boy of the year. Absolutely fantastic skin. And last but not least, we also have a new Sol skin. It's actually called Sol Pinup right here. It is Cherry Bomb Sol. And now we're quickly going to go through the voice packs. As always, turn on your speakers a little bit or your headphones in case this is loud.
I will go around giving free hugs. Do you think they will hug me back?
I will bring an order to things if I have to snuff out every last life on this miserable planet.
Monsters, demons, witches, vampires. No one escapes my arrow.
There is only one true power you should worship, and that is me!
Oh, not even a voice pack for Thoth.
Woo! I want to play! Can we play? Please, 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 please.
Once upon a time, I was all sweet and innocent. And then, you know, life hands you some lemons, and you just squash those damn lemons.
Alright, that's the voice packs. Now, let's go through the rest. Player behavior. There has been a whole new reward system for player behavior, commendation system, and in order to improve behavior, you will now get multiple rewards for being nice, mostly. You can reward players in your games, after the games, immediately with different accolades or something, and people that have 100% goodwill will also get extra points. I think this is not out yet in this patch, but it will come eventually. And for these points, you can get things. For 300 points, you can get a team skin booster. 450 points, you can get a triumphant champion chest. And for 600 points, you can get a triumphant godlike chest. So it's rewarding to be nice. Good stuff. Then there will also be yearly rewards if you remain unbanned for the entirety of a year and you don't get a single ban. So you get a Baron Samedi skin, a camaraderie loading frame, goodwill jump stamp, Baron Chibi avatar, and a goodwill global emote. So it's probably a chibi skin along with that. And this will only count from now on. So if you've been banned before this patch, it doesn't matter for this season. So from next year, it's going to be the whole year, but this year, just don't get banned anymore. Report prompting. Now, there's an internal system that tracks certain things regarding reporting. Like, for example, if somebody seems to be intentionally feeding based on multiple factors, then after the game will basically ask you, do you think this guy was feeding? Do you think this guy was trolling? Do you want to report him? And you can you can either vote yes if you really think that guy was intentionally feeding, or no if the system just picked it up wrongly. This is more of a reminder for people to report, because a lot of people simply don't report people that misbehave. They just think it doesn't do anything or just forget about it. Pgs Restriction. There is now apparently some way to possibly restrict VGS for some people. So I assume this is something about laugh spamming, basically, because the specific states if you abuse the VGS system, so it's not going to be for normal comms. Then there's going to be a goodwill system revamp. Goodwill have have been revamped to better reflect users who are being a positive experience while protecting those users from players who may report out of spite in an effort to reset them to 0%. Goodwill now provides protection against single instances of negative behavior or reports. Goodwill is now gained more gradually after completing games and when players commend you. Goodwill rewards have also been adjusted, reduced favor bonus from maximum goodwill from 30% to 15%, added a 15% bonus to FP gains from matches at maximum goodwill. Games played at maximum goodwill contribute towards the monthly rewards in the player commendation system. Bit unfortunate that the favor bonus is lower now, but I guess the FP is fine too, like mostly. And increased higher support presence. Our internal support team is ramping up its process for punishing players who fall into the criteria for negative behavior. More punishments will be sent out more often on a weekly basis. And if you've been paying attention to the Smite scene lately, there's already a fair bit of that going around, so good stuff going on. And then console gets something very cool that they've been asking for a long time, ever since we made a video on editing the HUD, basically, and that is you can move the minimap, which is really nice. And you can adjust the transparency too, so go ahead and put that closer to yourself if you like. Game modes. Fountains now tick more quickly and for small amounts while healing allies or dealing damage to enemies. This is going to be interesting for jumping out in terms of mana, but yeah. But at the same time, players exiting the fountain will retain the fountain healing effect for 1 additional second, so it should be okay in most situations. Fountains will no longer be affected by anti-heal too, so that's something. Timed queues are coming back. There's a lot of text here. We're gonna break it down to what is gonna happen. All normal and ranked game modes are gonna be changed to a timed queue system. Timed queues will now show a constant cooldown timer that indicates when the next match of that mode will begin. Players can see all timers for all mode at all times, allowing them to make the decisions accordingly. When timer reaches 0, our players in the queue will send a prompt to accept the match, and matchmaking will be done after accepting, so there will be no penalty in declining the queue pop-up, meaning you can just re-queue afterwards or whatever, but you're not going to get any deserter penalty or something. And it's also not going to affect the matchmaking pool, which happens in the next 20 seconds afterwards. In ranked modes, there are changes. Soft reset to rank Conquest, Joust, Duel. Ranked rewards have been updated. Early surrender conditions have been changed. Players are now able to surrender before 10 minutes if a player disconnects and within the first 3 minutes has not returned. That also means that player will be punished more. They will lose double TP, whereas everyone else loses nothing and the winning team gains less. So yeah, it's said here as well. Active players on the losing team lose 0 TP and the winning team gets 0.5 times the full TP. So very fair for everyone involved, basically. You get a quick free win and the other team doesn't lose anything except for the guy who ditched the game. If you have bad internet, that's gonna suck for you, but if you have bad internet, then it sucks for everyone else if you play rank 2, so yeah, fair to me. And rank Conquest, this mode has been changed to solo only. Parties of no sizes are allowed to actually make matchmaking in ranked good. Bit unfortunate because obviously it takes out the opportunity to play with a friend, but at the same time it makes ranked a real ranked. Casuals can be for the rest. Ranked Joust will still have 3 people queuing up together, and ranked Duel allows you to surrender at 5 minutes instead of 10. Map changes. Joust map. Joust map gets better visuals for the towers and phoenixes areas, for the aggro areas. A new XP camp has been added to the Joust map near the Bull Demons area. This has 2 armor tigers, 400 HP each, 50 XP each, and 13 gold each. The Bull Demon King has his base HP increased from 1,400 to 1,750. Arena now shows you that you get like ticket, or like there's a ticket loss whenever you kill a minion, and the respawn timer has been changed, so it's not as random anymore in terms of just every 30 seconds, but rather you get punished and rewarded depending on how many tickets you have or how far ahead your team is, basically. Rather punished, actually. But yeah, that's the basic concept here. Clash, Phoenixes now attack like normal Phoenixes, and Apophis heals you for 4% of your max HP every 5 seconds and restores 2% of your mana every 5 seconds to make it better to siege that way as well, along with that. But the entrance attack damage is decreased from 2,000 to 1,500, less one-shots, which I think is actually unfortunate because it was fun. Assault will now randomly select a god from all gods instead of just the player's own gods, so you can try every god in Assault. So So that's pretty cool. And it also makes it fair for those who like intentionally try to get the same gods in Assault by having an account where they don't buy every god, you know. Conquest. Let's go. Map. Right. Okay, wait, actually there's a lot of... Now, it's a lot of summary, basically. Dual lane didn't get enough XP. Dual lane was like, you know, falling behind the other lanes. They tried to do it with Guardian's Blessing. It didn't really work out. Shared XP is what the focus is on because it should only be for support. And that's gonna be what's gonna be happening. Support bonus XP after 2 minutes on the clock, support bonus XP will turn on. This rule will now give the lowest player on each team a 25% to increase to their shared XP only, not solo XP. Since a two-way split yielding 120% XP would yield 60% to the higher level player, which is the one that's not the support, and 60 times 1.25, so 75% to the lower level player. So 15% XP gain per shared minion compared to what we have otherwise. If the lowest player on the team is disconnected, the bonus XP will move to the second lowest player. So DCs don't count in. But if the DC player returns, they get the XP bonus instead, obviously, if they're low level. And there's also a change to minion AI. Minions will have, that have already chosen a target, will not change target unless their current target dies, leaves radius, or an enemy god drops their aggro, meaning that the waves basically kill each other more at the same time than before. Elder Harpy, base XP reduced from 34 to 24. This affects the mid camp and the back camps. Weird to me because they were already not worth as much, and the next change makes it even stranger, but whatever. Next change, Oracles decrease the base HP from 680 to 500. So Oracles get easier to kill, become easier to kill. Overall, a much more rewarding objective on the map, and mid Harpies are really not that worth, like, at all at the moment, so... Yeah, I guess, you know, whatever. Apparently to slow down mid and jungle XP a little bit. Then, jungle buff changes. That's what's going to slow down a lot. Speed buff, decreased speed buff from 15% to 10%. Buff and now applies an additional stacks of 2% speed on each jungle camp, kill or assist. Stacks up to 3 times, stacks last 15 seconds. So you actually have 1% more movement speed going through the jungle as long as you're clear, but not while chasing enemies down. The problem is, the big weakness here is when you gank someone and you don't clear a camp right before, then you might be slower. And normally what you want to do as a jungle is you want to gank first and then go for the buff camps around afterwards, as that's typically more rewarding. Now the opposite will be more rewarding because you get that buff beforehand. What you gonna do? Yeah, the other ones get nerfs too, so that's fine. Red buff, decreased power increase from 20% to 10%. This is especially focusing on minion clear, and this power bonus increases from 10 to 15% when hitting enemy guards. So against guards you only lose 5%. Purple buff, on the other hand, that's a rough one. For each enemy guard in the first, past the first within, what? For each enemy guard past the first within 55 units of you, all enemies within that area will lose additional protections. 2 protections per stack, stacks up to 4 times. So the first enemy is a 10 protection debuff, and then it goes up to 5 enemies, 18 protection debuff. Note, this protection strat can stack if 2 players on your team have the purple buff. This has always been the case, we're just reminding everyone. So you can actually, theoretically, reach 36 protection reduction of both kinds, which is insanely high and insanely strong, you know, on paper at least, because it's like more than half of the pen cap. It's ridiculously good, but you have to get both purples, and you have to have the whole enemy team around for that to happen. But definitely a very valuable buff until late game now. That should not be underestimated at all. To avoid shit on top of that, and you take away a lot of protections. Blue buff, decrease the mana restored from 25 to 15 per 5 seconds, but now restores 2% of your missing mana upon damaging a guard with an ability. Only triggers once per ability. Overall, encouraging more aggressive play style. Jungle practice map. I'm not even going to go through all of this. Just very briefly, the map has been completely overhauled. It's absolutely amazing. They have everything that we asked for now. You can set your level 20 instantly. You can have 80% cooldown reduction and very fast MP5. You can have a guard mode where your HP don't go down. You can stack items instantly. You can spawn guard bots with different kinds. You can spawn all buff camps. You can spawn towers and different phoenixes to test the damage on them. You can set the level of minions. You can go into an empty area and free fight with your friends. There is moving Odin bots and Odin, sorry about that, Odin bots next to each other. There's minion waves step on a pad to change to a certain time frame to make them tankier, and there is the center area that is now an actual fountain in the middle, and you can now sell relics and buy new ones and sell blessings and buy new ones. Absolutely fantastic for people like me. Whew, okay. Miscellaneous. Many Conquest NPCs had no icon, blah, blah, blah. Then, yeah, some icons, some UI, some art, that kind of stuff. Miscellaneous. Awesome chest, new edition, plushie Agio. Godlike chest, new editions, Rebirth Tech, Thanatos, Heaven's Arrow, Ho Yi, and Primal Shaman Ganesh. Fantasy Point Store, new editions, Such Cold, Skadi, SPF 666, Morrigan, and Peacekeeper Athena. That's a good one. That's one you should look out for if you don't have that yet. For FP, that's dope. Yes, general. Fix an issue with voice chat and fix an issue with stuck on the victory the field screen. And the longest players should ever see this now on the screen now is 20 seconds, I guess, but yeah. And then there are UI fixes to the daily rewards, escape button, minimap, blah, 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 blah. We're just going to skip over this a little bit. Same with a ranked fix an issue where sometimes to be gained or lost in previous match would show up in normal matches. Yep, a gold issue. Various fixes to spectator and console and certain crashes as well. Yeah, but all fixed an issue. And that brings us to the guards. Also a bunch of fixes here first. Anubis effects fixes, Chernobog, T-pose bug, Izanami, self-buff, would not glow, Soul Sweet Tooth, audio adjusted, Thor's audio adjusted, Xingtian's leap, spamming the jump action would interfere with its leap ability. Yeah, maybe that's a triple leap glitch, who knows. Item balance, mask tree, new items. We knew about them a little bit yesterday, and I made some speculation. I heard some things afterwards as well. I underestimated how crazy they would be, but the general idea I think I got at that point. So, mask tier 1, 50 gold, 500 gold, 50 health, 50 mana. Protector's mask, defensive mask, 50 health, 15 magical protection, 15 physic protection, 10% crowd control reduction. Apparently it loses the mana, that's funny. But yeah, well. And then that becomes Lonos Mask. As I said, I expected this to be a defensive one, because it's kind of aggressive, not utility focused, but still, you know, at the same time looks angry. Turns out I was completely right. 100 health, 50 magical protections, 50 physical protections, 20% crowd control reduction. Minus 25% damage dealt, plus 15% damage mitigation. Now, our job is to try and find out how we can break this item effectively. Because obviously this could be interesting for example, does this affect healing? Does this affect something like Soul Reaver? Well, Soul Reaver has a new passive, spoilers ahead, but you know, does it affect item effects? Does it affect many other things? Does it affect damage amplifications and all those kinds of things of that sort? So, very interesting to see what this becomes. Next one, Messenger's Mask, which used to be Wambas, 10 physical power, 30 magical power, 10% movement speed, and 10% cooldown reduction. And again, my assumption was pretty good. This is going to be the utility one, but it's going to be a lot more aggressive than I expected though. 2,400 gold, 25 physical power, 60 magical power, 20% movement speed, and 20% cooldown reduction. Hey, I was actually... Oh, it just makes me happy that I guessed this right, sorry. 20% more damage taken, though, and 50 bonus movement speed. So you have bonus movement speed and percentage movement speed and percentage cooldown reduction. Now, this item doesn't have crazy power for the price. It's a lot more focused on the movement speed and on the cooldown reduction. I think our Kwang is going to have field day with this, but you also take more damage. So you have to ideally have someone who is okay with taking more damage. Like, the perfect one would be Kali, but Kali just doesn't make too much use of cooldown reduction. And the rest of the stats is not that great for her either. The movement speed is still okay. But yeah, I'm thinking along the lines of Ao Kwang, as he can just heal back up, get in the ultimate and get out. Or Freya maybe, because she can combine that with a lot of lifesteal. So she has to worry less about damage taken, and then she's going to go up in the ult and heal up again. because Freya is also getting changed. And then we have the Fighter's Mask, 10 pen, 20 physical power, 50 magical power, turns into Wrangler's Mask, and this is gonna be the big bad fighting one, also as expected. 2,600 gold, 20 penetration, 50 physical power, 100 magical power, minus 30 bonus movement speed. Minus 30 bonus movement speed is actually interesting. So it might just be minus 30 movement speed, because otherwise it would be nice. If you can't go below base, you just build full power and just skip boots entirely. Because then they could avoid the negative compared to the others where you can't do that. But, oh well, we'll see. Plus 15% ability damage, plus 20% basic attack damage. Oof. This is gonna hurt on the right character. He's gotta be somewhat mobile in other ways. Or at least have a way to slow the enemies. I think with Gem of Isolation and this item, you can become a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, depends on the situation. And obviously the utility of combining it with other items is going to be absolutely crazy. I'm thinking something like maybe Shaman's Ring. Shaman's Ring that in itself has its own damage increase and kind of makes up for the movement speed loss a little bit too. But yeah, you get the amplifier on top of the amplifier, so that would be just amazing. Then we have a change to both elixirs, elixir of power and elixir of defense. Both are no longer removed upon death. They also give more damage to structures in case of elixir of power, 25%, and in the case of elixir of defense, you take 25% decreased damage from structures. The duration of both is increased from 300 to 360 seconds, another minute on top. Interesting change. I'm a bit concerned that they might be too good. I'm a bit concerned that you could coordinate with a team that you say, hey, you know, around 4th item, we rush these and we just close out the game. Like everyone just starts rushing an elixir. We go all in. Obviously, it could be a gamble, but if it works, it works. And yeah, we close out right there, right then. Don't know. We'll see how risky that is or how worth it is at the end of the day. It's still 3,000 gold, but yeah, it seems a bit scary. So Reaver, super weird. Passive has been changed. It's now Ethereal Staff's passive. Your abilities deal 2% additional 2% of the target's maximum health as magical damage. If the target has over 2,000 health, the ability bonus scales up. This effect reaches a maximum of 8% maximum health at 2,750 health. So the interesting thing is they removed the cooldown from this. They removed the internal cooldown. So with every ability, you can only get it once, but you can get it a lot of times with the abilities. And I'm thinking like Habwa can just, you know, spam away with that. I'm actually not quite sure. Sounds a little bit vague if this is still based on if this is based on maximum health entirely. This would be absolutely insane with how much you can shred. 8% maximum health very frequently with someone like Habwa. And that would be devastating if that becomes true. But we'll find out. And then we have Ethereal stuff. Ethereal has been redesigned. Whenever you damage an enemy, you steal 8% maximum mana as well as 4% maximum health from the target. This stats remain stolen for 45 seconds and target affected can have multiple buffs and debuffs at once. This can only occur once every 15 seconds, so you realistically have 2 stacks on a target. But the fact that it steals the maximum health and the maximum mana from the target makes it super strange. 16% maximum health from a tank. I don't know, it sounds pretty crazy. And the mana, keep that in mind, extra mana is also going to be very wild. Book of Thoth, increased cost from 2,650 to 2,800, decreased the magical power from 100 to 80, increased mana from 125 to 250, increased mana conversion from 3% to 5% when it evolves. So you need full stacks for the better conversion, but then overall the power should increase, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but the percentage should be a fair bit higher than the 20 power that you otherwise have. I haven't done the numbers yet, but I'm pretty sure overall you can end up with a decent amount of extra power that you didn't have before with Book of Thoth from the extra 2% of the conversion. But yeah, I'll crunch some more numbers on that. But it should definitely be interesting. And this again, keep this in mind and keep ethereal stuff in mind, because now Book of the Dead arrives. Book of the Dead no longer provides health. The shield now calculates based on your total mana, not current mana, total mana, which you can steal from enemies, and you can build Book of Thoth with more total mana now. Increased passive mana shield from 15% to 20%. Lowered health threshold for the passive to trigger from 50 to 40%. I'm not quite sure if this is a gain overall, because the item no longer has health in itself and it's still very expensive, and the passive is not increased that much. But through the other items being buffed, it's kind of still better. So I think overall it's more of a nerf. Technically, there can practically be a buff because these other items exist in this environment now and it's not in a vacuum. Interesting change. We'll see how good that is. Sorcerer Staff, decreased mana from 175 to 100. Warlock Staff, decreased mana from 400 to 200. This is a health item, not a mana item, and it's not supposed to be double stacked with Book of Thoth, is what Hyris is saying basically. Typhoon's Fang, reduced magical power from 100 to 80, increased bonus magical power from your lifesteal to an equal total from an equal amount to twice the amount. So apparently this is not going to be a lot. I think Ajax said something about like 40 extra power if you go full lifesteal or something. It's not going to be absolutely insane, but could be interesting. I will see with that one as well later how good that is exactly. But yeah, with phrase changes, I wouldn't underestimate it. Bankrupt Stalin, increased cost from 2,400 to 2,500. Restores Artifact, decreased MP5 from 20 to 15, that's a tier 2. Chronos Pendant, decreased magical power from 100 to 90, decreased MP5 from 25 to 20. Nothing major here, just a little bit of a nerf, which is absolutely understandable. Because Chronos Pendant went from late game, situational, weird choice to a very strong, very good item, and it will still be exactly that. Rod of Asclepius, the bonus healing provided now only increases healing for abilities. More specifically, it does not increase healing from potions, lifesteal, or health restoring buffs like Fire Giant, which I think is very unfortunate, especially in the context of the lifesteal. Rod of Healing, same thing. Oriental Scarab, increased damage mitigation per stack from 2% to 3%. Actually, in my opinion, very good now. Very accessible item, very cheap, I think, if I remember correctly. And with so much mitigation for yeah, relatively little now. It's just always hard to fit in, but if you need the mitigation, there you go. Guardian Mail, multiple nerfs, increased cost from 2,250 to 2,300, decreased movement speed slow and attack speed slow from 10% to 8% per stack. Yep. Yes, please. It's slowly getting more in line with other defensive items, so happy with that. Silverbench Bow, increased attack speed from 20% to 30%. It's still such a weird item. They really want Silverbench Bow to be something, but it's such a weird item, so I feel like it has so much attack speed now that it should be viable. But at the same time, I really hope it just isn't. Weird situation. Next one though, Toxie Blade, increased attack speed from 20% to 30%. It was just not valuable enough as an anti-heal item so far. That may change. 30% attack speed on this item for certain gods is really nothing to scoff at, and the rest of the stats are still pretty good as well. So that's something to keep in mind, at least. Stonecutting Saw decreased cost from 2,600 to 2,500. Yeah, no wonder. It's not been that successful lately. And it's just too expensive most of the time, and other items offer similar benefits for cheaper. Especially with the new Crusher and stuff. Similar niche, at least. Poison Star, decreased damage reduction and slow from 20% to 15%, mostly due to pro player feedback, absolutely fair. Wind Demon, decreased price from 2,800 gold to 2,700 gold. Wasn't worth picking up, now it's worth a little more. Still a fun item, still a decent item, and with Poison Star being nerfed a little bit, who knows? It's just not, you know, you'd still have Poison Star, Rage, and Deathbringer over it most of the time. That's the unfortunate thing for Wind Demon, but I think it's a cool item at least. So maybe with this price decrease and the other changes, it may be more useful now. Spectral Armor, increased bonus damage taken from crits from 50% to 60%. It's a bit strange here to me because they literally state spectral armor isn't popular, but when it's purchased, it does its job of negating crit damage a little too well. So we're decreasing this aspect of it. It's just, this is a crit counter item. It's supposed to do the job of countering crit well. It's not like 5 people on the team can build this or anything. Like, I guess, but yeah. Oh well. Weird enough. Warrior's Blessing. Decreased health from 100 to 75. Decreased heal and mana restore from per trigger 40 to 30. Apologies, it's been a long day of patch notes. So this one is, yeah, not too surprising. Warrior's Blessing has been like, it's kind of up there thing for a long time, but I feel like we may have a new contender with the defensive mask for some souls at least anyways. So we'll see what happens to this either way. Shift the Shield. Decreased goes from 2,500 to 2,400. And yeah, I think it's slowly getting to a point where it's actually a really solid choice again. It still has high power and defense. So. They really want it to be used in solo, which is funny because I feel like it's just going to end up in the jungle again, but that's another story. Sundering Spear. Reduce cooldown. Interesting formatting. Reduce cooldown from 140 seconds to 110 seconds. So, more Sunder. Sunder was just not very useful, so I understand that. Freya. Completely changed. Mystic Warrior. Brisingamen's Blessing has been reworked to Mystic Warrior because the name was too hard to pronounce, so no one wanted to use it. Freya's melee basic attacks restore 6% of her missing mana per successful hit. They said, I thought, oh, well. Freya's ranged basic attacks and abilities heal 2% of your missing HP per successful hit, up to once per shot. So, yeah. You get why in a second. Northern Lights. Irradiate has been reworked to Northern Lights. Freya empowers her weapon, making the next basic attack that hits an enemy within the next 5 seconds deal bonus magical damage in the area around the enemy. Enemies hit by the explosion are slowed for 2 seconds. Minions take half damage from the explosion. So it's a single attack, up to 250 base damage, 75% scaling, and a 25% slow. On a 9-second cooldown, so you can use this very frequently. It's I think it has a bit of a dodgy one feel to it, but it is also AoE. And then the other part is Aurora Blade. Pulse has been reworked to Aurora Blade. Freya can switch between empowering her melee attacks or shooting path-through ranged basic attacks that stop on guards. Both her melee and ranged basic attacks gain bonus magical damage. While toggled on, each ranged basic attack drains mana. Minions take no bonus damage from the ranged version of Aurora Blade. Melee bonus damage 20 to 76, plus 20% of your magical power. Ranged bonus damage 15 to 47, 15% of your magical power. Cooldown 0.5 seconds, so it's more like a stance swap. But you can combine this with Northern Lights, I think, so you can throw it at long range as well. And then, you know, have your explosion at long range. And in a typical scenario, you will use the long range a little bit and then go into melee to restore your mana now, which helps her a lot if she plays jungle, because the projectile goes through targets, so you start at long range, pull the camp towards you, clear the small minions through the AoE, basically, or through the damage going through them, and then when they're down, you start fighting the big minion with Aurora Blade, and use a close range Aurora Blade, have some extra damage while clearing, while also restoring more mana. And this extra damage is definitely not, like, nothing to be joked about, like 76 per hit, before any items. And that's with the new rings and stuff, you know, boy oh boy. But on top of that, there's also Valkyrie's Discretion, decreased damage per blast from 100 to 240 to 80 to 220. Decreased magic power scaling per hit from 35 to 30. That's just to like compensate for the damage she has between her other basics now. I know some people are upset about this because it changes Freya's identity a little bit, shifts her more towards the jungle, and less towards duo from what it seems so far, because it's hard to get in close range in melee. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that Aurora Blade passes through minions. If you start with a mana item, if you start with a Book of Thoth relatively early or build into that quickly, or maybe Chronos Pendant, then you can use this relatively often still, and you will hit through all the minions. Okay, maybe not Chronos Pendant, not a good idea. Book of Thoth, stick to that. So I don't think a clear is going to be bad at all. It's like in an Izanami style of clear. And yeah, I think she's going to be more interesting. I think Freya before this basically had two abilities that were combined into one most of the time, and now she has two abilities that are more separate from each other, and I like that. But that's just me. But now there's the change. I would like to play in some like holy angel choir singing music kind of stuff right now, but let's take a big break to let me, you know, prepare for this one. Bakasura. Takedown. This ability no longer decreases physical protection of the enemies hit by it. This ability now causes enemies to take 10% increased damage from all sources. Not just Bakasura, but also Bakasura's Butcher Blades, true damage, but also everyone else around them. So if he jumps them, you focus them. Let's go. And he drops the rest of his kit on them afterwards anyways. Eat minion. Decreased pulse fire animations from 0.7 to 0.2. Finally, no more delay, and probably a better way to like secure camps that way, because it was really annoying before. This ability now places an additional target over targets that can be instantly devoured, so you know when you can eat them. And why did they not change eat minions so that it affects enemy guards? Because of the next change, which does the same thing in a different way, which is super cool, which I'm really happy about. Regurgitate, increased projectile speed from 80 to 120, so you finally spit that out quicker, which was super slow in the first place. And now for the biggest of these changes, even though it may not sound like it. Okay, maybe the takedown is also super huge, but hey. Bakasura may now choose to eat his own minion pets from this ability. Gross. You spit out 6 minions, you eat out 1, you get the passive from eating a minion, you get the healing if you needed to, and you have that extra aggression. You're not minion dependent in a team fight, because you can just eat your own minions instead. Thank you, Hyris. It took a while, but I am absolutely super happy this is coming. And with the new speed buff being a little bit different, it's also better for Bakasura, and I'm happy. I'm so happy about these changes, and I've been waiting for Bakasura to have an impactful change like this for so long that is relevant for him, and that's what happened. And blessed be Hyris. Apwash is gonna get a little wild. And that surge increased the zombies thrown from 1-1-2-2-2 to 2 at all ranks from the start, so you don't need to level it just for the zombies. Pretty cool. Was annoying before to have to level that. Now you have more flexibility in your leveling. Empty the crypts. Enemies hit by this have a 20% healing reduction applied. This effect stacks up to 3 times and lasts 5 seconds. So that alone, up to 60% healing reduction on a whole team in a large area. But we're not done. The damaging spirits now pass through all walls, structures, and players. You can no longer block them with anything, which is a bit sad to me, because it had some nice counterplay otherwise, but at the same time I understand why it's happening. And you can also throw it over a wall and damage enemies that way. Empty the crypts now persist after Apwash dies as well. So lots of changes for Apwash, I would say, that pushes him back into the meta. He was doing a little bit better already, so yeah. I would have needed this like a few games back. It would have helped me a lot against certain Guan Yu, but hey. Artemis. Okay, well, I can actually sum these up. There are no more passives that include crit, because Hyris thinks that crit passive are too much RNG at the start of the game, and they don't want that. Artemis still targeted. Basic attacks. Artemis basic attacks deal 30% more damage to enemy minions, and 15% to enemy guards if they're affected by crowd control. Does not include knockbacks, blinds, or grabs. Critical strikes on these targets deal 130 / 160% then. So, you know, roots like Artemis traps make you deal more damage. Her ultimate makes you deal more damage. Instead, you don't crit, in return, you don't crit anymore. Makes her more flexible in what she can build as well. She doesn't revolve around crit in the same way as before. But obviously crit benefits a lot from it too. So very, very nice. Humbat, same thing. Changing that passive up. Infused strikes. This buff no longer provides a 30% crit chance. This effect now causes Humbat next successful basic attack to deal 20% more damage. And yes, you can build Hydra's Lament too. So you get the double effect basically. Like your basics after abilities will deal so much damage. I think a Trent's Hydra's build could actually be really good for him now, because you just get this double super damage. Maybe you get the CDR other item, the you know, the new mask. Along with that, the Bomber's Mask, and then he goes completely crazy, you know what I'm saying? 20% CDR and movement speed, you know, who needs boots anyway, so you can have that, and then, yeah, you get my idea? Yeah, you got it? You got the bots? Because he's getting even more buffs after that. Overhand Smash, Hunbats is no longer affected by directional movement speed penalties during while this ability is firing. Okay, nice wording, but that's basically, I think Junga has the same thing. So you can move quickly in any direction, making it easier to juke abilities, because often you get interrupted while using Overhand Smash, and it also feels very cool. It's like side sliding on guards that have it. So yeah, it's really cool. I think Raven has it too, huh? It's gonna be very nice. It's gonna feel very nice. And Fear No Evil can now be deployed in walls, reducing the damage of it failing to fire because it's coming into a wall. Happened to me so often that I am super happy it won't happen as often anymore. Though I would probably just end up landing my ults in walls now. But yeah, I'm very happy here once again as somebody who plays bots a lot. These changes are really cool. And the next changes are to Naja. Righteous Spirit buffs stacks no longer provide critical strike chance. Instead, you still have that on the 2 though. But buff stacks now provide 0.5% movement speed and 1 physical power per stack, stacking up to 20 times. So 20 physical power and 10% movement speed. Really cool in my opinion, as this allows them to clear quicker, and the power is actually more beneficial for the ultimate, which you will always crit with anyways, and now you get more damage out of every single crit. So yeah, I think this is a buff overall for Naja and actually helps him a lot, instead of just having random crit luck sometimes. Raven. Raven is now an assassin. His stats are adjusted accordingly. I'm not going to go through all of them. HP, HP5, MP5, you know, that kind of stuff, and protection all reduced, and set a basic attack power and a scale per level and base and attack speed are increased. This means that you can consider some other builds with attack speed maybe, or with like heavier scaling things, but really not all too much changes for him, because he still has a bit of damage mitigation. He still avoids a lot of damage with his 2, and he still does stupid amounts of damage anyways. But what changes more is his passive. Chain of Blows can now stack on damaging structures. Stacks are now gained per target hit. For example, 10-handed Shadow Fist can get multiple stacks for hitting a minion wave. Quite a few. And stacks now provide a 3% movement speed per stack. Stacks are lost when the shield is fully broken. So he's even more mobile at the same time. So, oof. This is gonna be cool for everyone who plays Raven. Not so cool for everyone else. 10-handed Shadow Fist increased physical power scaling from 55% to 70%. Overhead Kick, it decreased cooldown from 20 to 12 seconds to 18 to 14 seconds. So also increased it towards the end. Overall, I think Raven is gonna be very strong with more movement speed that he gets and a little bit more scaling, and I don't think he cares that much about losing a little bit in return. Yeah, that's an assassin for you. So Cat's gonna be a warrior soon. Just kidding. Anubis, Plague of Locusts, mana cost decreased from 60 to 100 to 60 to 80, and Grasping Hand from 70 to 100 to 110 to 70 to 90. So a little bit of mana cost the reduction here. Just some old artifacts from early Smite. Apollo, Across the Sky, fixed description. Baron Samdi. A few nerfs were not enough to stop the party. So, there's a party stopper right here. Hysteria, that skull that appears is now offset, so the player can see better while affected. Cool. Vivid Gaze, damage decreased from 80 to 280 to 60 to 240. Scaling decreased from 70 to 60. That's only Vivid Gaze though. Consigned Spirits, decreased heal from 15% of a target's missing health to 12.5%. 2.5%, no really cares about that. I'm pretty sure, again, with every change, Consigned Spirits becomes better and Vivid Gaze, like, becomes not much worse and Vivid Gaze becomes worse. I'm pretty sure we've reached the threshold where Consign Spirits should be your first ability. Would have to verify, but I'm pretty sure we're at this point now. When you look over the new stats after this patch, I think it's the 2 before the 1. But yeah. And then wrap it up. Also gets a very high damage reduction. Charged is slow to root to a new CC term, ramp to root. The ramp to root is considered a root for all CC immunity purposes, and it's cleansed. If it's cleansed, it will result in the full root not applying. That means the root can be cleansed initially, you will not get slowed at all, and then you will also not get rooted. We have the same thing for Chronos as well. Decreased damage over time and Hysteria AoE duration from 4 seconds to 2.5 seconds to match the ramp to root FX. And this causes the overall damage this ability deals from 80 to 336 plus 40% of your magical power to 50 to 210, so 100 damage down, plus 25% of your magical power. So a lot of scaling down, a lot of everything else down, and less of a time frame to root others as well. So this should take him down a fair bit and, you know, level him out a lot more than before. Junga increased cooldown on Crescent Moon Dance from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Waxing Moon decreased ult damage from 160 to 460 to 160 to 420. Harry's favorite number, mostly because she was performing very, very well in the pro scene apparently. I have not been following that closely enough to know. Chronos, stop time, change slow to stun to a new CC term, ramp to stun. The ramp to stun is now considered a stun for all CC immunity purposes, and cleansed will result in the full stun not applying, meaning you will not get slowed in the first place, and this is especially relevant for Magi's Blessing, as if you get hit by stop time, then Magi's Blessing will now activate immediately, and you will be immune to all the CC that would follow from stop time. This also means that Spirit Rope's damage mitigation should be applied right away, as well as you can beat it right away and you will not get CC'd at all. So that's pretty cool. Cupid. Cupid increased camera height from 36 to 46 to give Cupid players a more consistent camera angle compared to other guards, so a little bit higher. That should be cool. Hades. Blight now has a debuff effect that lowers the target's magical or physical power by 5%. So he can go in a little bit more and get punished a little bit less. Not a crazy thing, but a little bit, so it's nice. Kali, marked for death, increased heal on assist from 15% to 20%. Also a little bit here, a little bit more for heal. Nice benefit. Kukulkan Slipstream increased movement speed from 40% to 80% to 60% to 80%, so he's a little bit more mobile. And Spirit of the Nine Winds decreased the cooldown from 80 seconds to 70 seconds. A little bit more of that stuff. Could be quite impactful across the course of the map, having that many opportunities to ult. And Ram, Astral Barrage, adjusted blah 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 targeter, so it's a little bit easier to see and you know how many shots you have left. Sir Cat. Catalyst decreased damage from consuming 3 poisons from 25% of maximum health to 20%. Deathbane has a new targeter and it will now hit the targets for as many hits as it should hit them. Last Breath, as the base damage decreased from 210 to 690 to 200 to 640. Some nerfs, especially targeted at Sir Cat as a tank, as a non-damage building character, that, you know, make that a little less rewarding, but absolutely appropriate nerfs to her, and I'm absolutely fine with that. And that brings us to the Shonga Donga Danger. Demon Bag decreased protections per stack from 1 to 0.8. Not a big surprise there, he was super tanky lately, because he hardly ever loses them. And Book of Demons decreased stun duration from 0.7 to 1.1 to 0.6 to 1 second. Also very much appropriate. And that's it. A lot of changes to a lot of things in Smite in a lot of good ways, which make me very happy. And even though I may not seem like it that much right now because I'm getting pretty tired and I'm pretty out of breath from this entire thing, I think this overall picture of what we've seen here in terms of changes is very, very good. And I'm really looking forward to see how these changes turn out in the game, you know, how they feel once we're actually inside that. And yeah, it's just overall very, very cool to see what we got going here. Obviously, I'm very happy as well because a lot of gods that I like to play are buffed. Bakasura, Hunbats, Raven, Kali a little bit, Naja, who I play a decent amount still. So yeah, and even other gods. With the items, it's going to be a bit crazy. I think especially Soul Reaver could be scary on, like I said, Habwa or even Chunga. Anyone with low cooldowns, this could be a bit ridiculous. We'll find out about that. But yeah, that should be it. And again, PTS, check this out. You get free gems on the live client if you do that. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching the probably best patch notes in a very long time. Maybe aside of the Season 5 patch in terms of Conquest changes, but I think that would be cheating to compare that. I think the general changes in this patch are super, super good, and it's nothing I really want to complain about, and that it speaks for itself. A lot of things been tackled that we've seen, like, you know, been complained about over and over and over, and they're finally being adjusted as well. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click the sub button with the bell, really helps me out. Other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out.